One of the worst statements in astrological texts is that Rahu is like Saturn and Mars is like Ketu. This is not. There's only one way that they are similar. Mars is a short dasha and Ketu is a short dasha. Rahu is a long dasha, Saturn's long. That's the end of the story. It's not like that at all. If I had to choose between having a planet next to Rahu or Ketu, it would always be Rahu. Rahu might cause some damage, but nothing like Ketu. Nothing. Secondly, I did not start using Rahu and Ketu aspects in charts until maybe 10 years. No, sorry, till maybe 4 or 5 years. I started to see, the way that I saw it was that if there was a malefic, say Saturn was aspecting the 4th house, it would be bad for the mother. But if Saturn and Rahu, Saturn and Ketu were aspecting the 4th, the damage would be much worse. So, and if it's a Rahu-Ketu aspect on a planet, it's going to give a little negativity. The question is, how tight is it? So if Ketu is aspecting Jupiter, and Jupiter's 10 degrees, and Ketu is 9, 10, 11 degrees, that's going to hurt Jupiter. If Ketu is 27 degrees and it aspects Jupiter, it's not so bad. But those aspects, absolutely 100%, they work.
Yeah.
They work. Now, I want to...
So which are the aspects that you take? 5, 7, 9 or 5, 7, 9, 2, and 12?
You don't need the 7th. This, to me, is crazy.
Okay.
If Rahu is in the house, you don't need to say Ketu's aspecting. It just doesn't make sense. Just
do you include 2 and 12 also?
No, 5 and 9.
5 and 9.
I know, for me, 5 and 9.
Forward or backward?
Both. Both. Either way. 9 and 5. If it's the fifth is that way, and the 9th is, I mean, it's, you know,
that way.
It's going to go both ways. Now, I want to mention the great years of the planets. This is a small technique. You don't have to spend much time on it, but it's very important. I saw the importance of it because when I asked Padya why I had no fame or recognition, when in my mind I could see there was something coming, he said because the 10th house ruler, Saturn, matures late. It matures in the 36th year. He said, you're going to get fame because the ruler of the 10th is in the 5th, which is Purva Punya, past life credit, and it's aspected by Jupiter to the degree. You're going to get recognition. But wait until the 36th year. Now, 36th year does not mean, it's a little fly, 36th year does not mean 36 years old. It means from age 35 to age 36. That's the 36th year. So that between 35 and 36, that's when you can come to know the full extent of your career. Now, the most common way that I use the great years of the planets are find the planet that rules the first house. So if it's a Virgo or Gemini ascendant, Mercury is the 32nd year. So you tell the person between the age of 31 and 32, if you have Gemini or Virgo, was a significant year of finding out who you are. Constantly, I will find people that get divorced in that year because they were in a bad situation. Now they begin to know their own sense of power, their own sense of self. They're finally able to do something. But also, if the planet is very badly aspected, it can be a very bad year if it's very good. So Jupiter is the 16th year, from age 15 to 16. The Sun is the 22nd year, 21 to 22. Moon is 24th. Venus is 25th. Mars is 28th. Mercury is 32nd. Saturn is 36th. I like doing charts for people with Capricorn and Aquarius ascendants. I say to them, you have all the way until the age of 35 to experiment. You know, you're going to get a lot more out of life. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a lot more because you have more time to develop yourself. And then Rahu is 42nd. A lot of people gain power in Rahu, 42nd year. Ketu is 48th year. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the retrograde planets.
Oh, yeah. That's the topic we all want to hear.
The retrogrades they're very simple. It's not hard, but people get very confused. So we're going to dispel that. Now, all of this, I'm going to plug my book. All of this material is in this book in detail. Okay?
It is the finest book on Vedic astrology.
Thank you. The art and practice of ancient Hindu astrology, and it's a dialogue book. He asks questions, I answer them. Now, the retrogrades are simple, not complicated. But again, the scriptures complicate it because the scriptures will say that a retrograde planet is stronger. So let me start with that. It's not stronger, all things being equal. Generally speaking, it is not stronger in the manifest way. A retrograde planet is closer to the Earth. So that planetary energy gets a little bit stronger on a psychological, internal level. For example, if all the planets are moving forward and they're manifest, but one planet's moving the other direction, it becomes a little bit more latent or passive. It's more latent or passive. It doesn't manifest a lot, okay? But here's where it's strong. Where it is strong is that when you're a child and you're living your life, you're experiencing, you're learning. You learn about Venus. You learn about love matters. Then you find out there's information, there's books to read. Then you find out there's sports, Mars. Then you find out there's Jupiter, which is religion. You learn these things as you go through life. If a planet is retrograde, it's not manifesting. It's latent or passive. It gets to you last. So my Jupiter's retrograde. Now, I can't give you the specifics of when, but at some point when I learned about religion or philosophy, it had a huge impact. Why? Because for a long time, it was nowhere to be found. It was missing. It was, see what I mean? So if the planet is last, it's kind of shocking. You go, well, what is that? And then you spend the rest of your life. It's more internal, psychological. If a person has a retrograde Venus, they spend their entire life learning about marriage and love. If a person has retrograde Jupiter, they spend their entire life filtering everything through philosophy and religion. That's how it is. If it's Mars, they spend their whole life analyzing, when do I fight? When do I be aggressive? That's just how it is. That's the way it's stronger. It is not stronger in the manifest world. So if a person has Capricorn or Aquarius ascendant, I get these all the time. The 10th house is really strong. Jupiter aspects the moon. There can be some fame and recognition. But the ascendant ruler is retrograde. Does it stop them from being famous? No, it doesn't stop them. But there's no ambition for it. So I say to them, look, because it's retrograde, the ruler of the first house is retrograde. It's not manifesting, so there's no desire to push it forward. So if the planet that is retrograde rules the house of children, there could be 3 planets in the 11th house aspecting the 5th house for children. If the ruler of that 5th house is retrograde, you cannot predict 3 children. You cannot do it. It will not work because it becomes a choice. What is that noise?
Yeah, I also don't understand.
I can't hear any noise.
Okay, it stopped. It stopped. So if the ruler of the 5th house is retrograde, having children is their choice. They can do it or not do it. If the ruler of the 7th house is retrograde, they can get married or not. It is their choice. So a retrograde planet, for the houses that it rules, in particular, is free will You can say you have more free will in this area. You can also say it won't happen on its own. I get a lot of charts where I'd say this person is a healer, but the ruler of the 6th house is retrograde. I back off. I say you have all the talents to be a great healer, but it's your choice.
Do it or
That's
not.
how it works. That's how it works. Now, secondly, the energy of the retrograde planet is latent. It is passive. So, would I rather have Saturn, a great malefic, in the marriage house going forward, creating tremendous damage? Or would I rather have it retrograde where it's passive? I'd rather have it passive. In the 1st house, would I rather have a malefic Mars or Saturn going forward or passive? I'd rather have it passive. Okay?
That's quite a different view.
Yeah, that's the one that works. Promise.
All right.
Promise. Okay. So understand this. Again, person could have a big chart for money or education, but if the ruler of the 2nd is retrograde, it's their choice. That will work. I promise you, it will work.
That's something brilliant information and experience that you're sharing with us, James.
Yes.
Thank you so much.